pre-canned speech? You want to talk some truth? All right, put down these teleprompters. I'm not doing the pre-canned speech tonight. We're done with that. Let's get those down. We're going to go off script a little bit today. You're going to hear where we are right now as a country. Let's talk about the most important thing right now. Things have changed. I am deeply worried we are marching our way into World War III. Now, what we have is corrupt politicians in both parties that have spent trillions, killed millions, made billions for themselves in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. After 9/11, George Bush and Dick Cheney, they sent people my age to go die in the Middle East, racking up $7 trillion in national debt that did not advance anybody's interests. And now the same class of people, Dick Cheney 2.0, trying to take over this Republican Party, set to do it all over again, marching us to World War III. I will keep us out of it, but let me tell you the truth. Here's how the Democrats do it. It's both parties. Joe Biden, his son Hunter Biden, gets paid a $5 million bribe from Ukraine, only to then have Joe Biden, his father, now the President of the United States, send $200 billion of our money, your taxpayer money, to that same nation of Ukraine. They sold off our foreign policy to make their own family rich. And it's wrong when the Democrats do it. But here's the dirty little secret. The Republican Party hasn't been that much better since that same era. I want to hear about truth. We're going to talk truth tonight. One of the people who chose not to show up today, running for U.S. president in the Republican Party, has been Nikki Haley. Military contractor, making millions after leaving the UN. Negative net worth, in debt, somehow becomes, just like Joe Biden, a multimillionaire as a military contractor, on the board of Boeing, on the boards of companies collecting stock options while running for president. These people in both parties are selling off our foreign policy to make their families rich. And I'll tell you this about the U.S. presidency. I'm a father of two sons. My moral obligation as a father is to my two sons. As your next president, my moral obligation is to you, the citizens of this nation. Not any other one, just this one, the United States of America. That is the moral obligation of the president of this country. And we have to remember that as we lead this nation forward. That's the choice we face in this primary. Do you want the Republican Party of the past? Do you want Dick Cheney 2.0? Or do you want the Republican Party of the future that actually stands for our own interests in this country? Keep us out of World War III. Declare independence from China. Use our military to protect our own border instead of somebody else's border halfway around the world. That is what it means to secure this homeland. That is how you deserve as a next president, an American who fights for our fellow Americans. Now, let me tell you something. They'll talk to you about foreign wars. The truth is, we're in the middle of a war right here at home in the United States of America. It is not a war between black and white, as the media would teach you to believe. It's not a war even really between Democrats and Republicans. Not really. It is far deeper than that. It is a war between the majority of us in the United States of America who believe that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Who believe that you get ahead in this country not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character. Who believe in American exceptionalism, that nations have borders, that our nation has a border, that we will not apologize for having a homeland, that we will not apologize for our ideals, that even though we're an imperfect nation, we are founded on the pursuit of a more perfect union, the pursuit of liberty, equality, and justice for all. That is one side of this war. And on the other side of this war, we have those who say your identity is based on your race, your gender, your sexuality. Those who believe that if you're black, you're disadvantaged, that if you're white, you're privileged, no matter your background or your upbringing. Your race and your gender govern who you are and what you can achieve in life. Who believe that we have to stop burning carbon in the United States, even as we shift those same carbon emissions to places like China. Who believe that maybe we can use our military to protect somebody else's border halfway around the world, but it is racist or xenophobic to protect our own border with our own military here at home. Who believe that we have to apologize for the ideals that this nation was founded on. Now, I call this a war because there's no middle ground in this war. You have to know that you're in a war to win one. Okay? Either you believe in meritocracy or you believe in group quotas. You cannot have both. Either you believe in free speech or you believe in censorship. You cannot have both. Either you believe in American exceptionalism or you believe in American apologism. You cannot have both. And now is our moment to choose who is the commander-in-chief who will lead us to victory in that war. I think it's going to take someone from the outside. And believe me, I have respected Donald Trump more than anybody else in this race because he was the best president of the 21st century. I've said that before, and I will say it again because it's the right thing to do. We will honor that legacy. I am in this race because I have fresh legs. I am from a different generation to reach the next generation of Americans. And that is what this nation is founded on. Thomas Jefferson, he was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. He invented the swivel chair while he was at it too, by the way. That's the spirit we need to revive in this country. And I think it is going to take someone from the next generation to reach the next generation with our shared American ideals. When it comes down to the enemies we face here at home, starts right here with the deep state. That is the real enemy we face because it's not the people who we elect to run the government who run the government anymore. It's not. The people who we elect to run the government, they're no longer the ones who actually run the government. It is the managerial bureaucracy in the shadow government that pulls the strings today. So if we want to fix that problem, we got to get in there and shut government agencies down. You can't just tinker around the edges. The FBI, the ATF, the IRS, the CDC, the U.S. Department of Education. We will get in there and shut them down. Fire 75% of the federal bureaucrats. Rescind a majority of the unconstitutional federal regulations that act like a wet blanket on the U.S. economy. You know what? If I can't work for you all as the next president for more than 8 years, which I think is a good thing, then neither should any of those federal bureaucrats reporting into me either. 8-year term limits for the bureaucracy. That is how we restore the integrity of a constitutional republic. Look abroad. Who's our real enemy? It's not Ukraine. It's communist China. And today, we depend on our enemy, China, for our entire modern way of life, from the shoes on our feet to the phones in our pockets. You want to fix that? This is how we declare economic independence from communist China. That is the Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson would have signed if he were alive today. That is the Declaration of Independence that we need to sign to move this nation forward. Independence from semiconductors, from pharmaceuticals, from our military equipment here in this country that we depend on. We cannot depend on our enemy for our modern way of life. Shut down the deep state at home. Declare independence from China abroad. But then we get to the real problem for how we win this war. We have to revive national pride in the United States of America. Young Americans, we are lost. I'm 38 years old. I'm the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican. And I will tell you what is going on in our generation. We are hungry for a cause. We are starved for purpose and meaning and identity. At a time in our national history when the things that used to fill that void, faith, patriotism, hard work, family. These things have disappeared. That leaves a black hole in our hearts. And when you have a black hole that runs that deep, that is when the poison fills the void. Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, globalism, Zelenskyism, depression, anxiety, fentanyl, suicide. Do you think it's an accident that we see the rise of these same poisons at the same time in our history? It is not. These are symptoms of a deeper void of purpose and meaning in our country. And for a long time, we in our party, we have been running from something. Race, gender, sexuality, climate, without offering a vision of our own, individual, family, nation, God. We have been running from something. Now is our moment, though, to actually start running to something, to our vision of what it means to be an American today. What does it mean to be an American? I'm an America First conservative, but to put this country first, we have to rediscover what this country is. Yes, people my age, that question, you get a blank stare in response. It's like a deer in the headlights. What does it mean to be an American? It means we believe. It means freedom. It means we believe in the ideals of the American Revolution. Ideals like meritocracy, the pursuit of excellence, that you do get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That is why we will end affirmative action and race-based quotas in every area of American life. It's a cancer on our national soul, and we are done with it. What does it mean to be American? It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will use our own military to secure our own southern border and our northern border too. That is what it means to stand for the rule of law. It means that we, the people, create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. That we, the people, sort out our differences through free speech and open debate in a constitutional republic where every citizen's voice and vote counts equally. Not in the back of palace halls in old world England, not in the back of some super PAC conference today, not in the back of BlackRock's corner office. No, we the people settle those differences at the ballot box where everybody's voice and vote counts equally. And by the way, you want to fix the elections, single day voting on election day as a national holiday, paper ballots and government issued voter ID to match the voter file. And by the way, English as the sole language on the ballots or at the ballot box. Because if you don't know something about this country, then you shouldn't be participating in the elections of this country. That's how you revive our national identity. You want to end the identity crisis in this country, and I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means we end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants to this country. That is not protected. This is what it means to be an American. I think every 12th grader who graduates from 12th grade should have to pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass to become a voting citizen of this country. We have to revive who we are as Americans. I'll tell you what happened in my generation. We were taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways we are really just the same as Americans, bound by that common set of ideals that set this nation into motion 250 years ago. We're going to revive those ideals, but here's how we're going to do it. Not just me, all of us, starting to speak the truth in the open again. You don't know the best measure of our country's health? It isn't the number of green pieces of paper in our bank account. It isn't the number of ballots that get cast every November. That's just a final act at the end of the process. The best measure of the health of our country, it is the percentage of people who feel free to say what they actually think in public. Right now, we're doing poorly. The only way we're going to fix it is all of us starting to speak the truth in the open again. Have a government that speaks that truth to its people. Tell us the truth about the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that never was. The truth about where the pandemic actually began. The truth about the Hunter Biden laptop story that we now know to be true. The truth about the Nashville transgender shooter manifesto that still hasn't been released. The truth about how many federal officials were in the field on January 6th, and we will pardon any peaceful protester on January 6th. The truth about how our money is being spent in Ukraine. We, the people, demand a government that tells us the truth again, not just when it's easy, but when it is hard. That is what this campaign is about. Speak the truth. Speak it with a spine. Speak it without fear. Speak it with respect. But part of respect is that you respect thy neighbor enough to tell him what you actually believe. That is what we are doing today, speaking the truth without apology. God is real. There are two genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity. Reverse racism is racism. An open border is not a border. Parents determine the education of their children. The nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Capitalism is still the best system known to man to lift us up from poverty. There are 3 branches of government, not 4. And the U.S. Constitution, it is the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is the truth. We fight for the truth. We stand up for the truth. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about, and that is what we together will revive to save this great nation. We are telling you, you're taught to believe that they tell you we're a nation in decline, and I'll say this one in closing. They tell us we're at the end of the ancient Roman Empire. All we have left is to fight over the scraps of a shrinking pie. I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. I don't think we have to be ancient Rome. I told you I'm a young person here today. I will tell you that our nation right now is actually just a little young, actually. Going through our own version of adolescence. Figuring out who we're really going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it starts to make sense again, actually. You go through your adolescence, you go through that identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. You do some stupid things. I did. Most of us probably did. But we are stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. I think we can still yet be a nation in our ascent. Maybe the early stages of our ascent. Maybe we're not even yet at base camp. Still on our way to the next 250 years ahead of us, where we will tell our kids in good conscience, we will look them in the eye and mean it when we say the United States of America is still that nation where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, or how long your last name is, that you will still get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what we are running to. And that is what we together will revive to save this great nation. God bless you. God bless your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you.